quantum physics to metaphysics with life in between. Here's your host, medical intuitive and vibrational healer, Patti Conklin.
Hi everyone, this is Patti Conklin, quantum physics to metaphysics with life in between. I have a fabulous guest today who I've been able to call friend now for the last, 6-8 years, something like that, and got to learn all about him and his work. This is Roy Martina, who's an MD with a holistic way of life, and we're really going to emphasize the holistic in his work today, because what I find always fascinating is the MDs who do begin to integrate and have the holistic way of life take shape and form even beyond their MD practice. So we're just going to be jumping right into it. So Roy, thank you so much for being on the show with me today.
It's a pleasure, and I still remember the first time we met. I came actually for a hypnosis training with Dick Sutphen, and you were the dessert, I would say. And that was better than all the rest. And it was instant after that. I received my first healing from you then, and I think we connected on a deep level, and we met in so many places. It's crazy.
It's been crazy and wonderful and just awesome all the way around. And you really have quite an extraordinary story that I'd love if you'd be willing to give us a synopsis, because you're in the United States now, but you're a superstar in Europe. So a lot of people are still transitioning to your notoriety from Europe into the United States. So give us a synopsis a little bit.
Yeah, I would say that my holistic life began when I was 6. And I was officially diagnosed with brain damage and hopelessness, and the psychologist told my father and my mother that they should give up all hope on me. In the best case, I would become a carpenter because I like to hit things and I had a lot of anger issues. So that's the beginning of the story. And I still vividly remember the faces of my parents when that was the diagnosis was given to them. But he did say something good, and he said, send this little boy to judo. That will help him with his anger issues. And that was my first introduction into an Eastern philosophy. Having a teacher who saw my greatness, who became my first life coach, who believed in me, who even called me champion. He gave me so much self-confidence that basically is the foundation I still stand on. And I pursued a career of over, I would say by now, almost 55 years in martial arts. I'm an 8th-degree black belt, world champion, trained thousands of people, still have thousands of students. So everything I do is based on the warrior concept first. To stand your ground, go for what you believe in, and become unstoppable. Then, because I also had physical issues, I really was saved many times from my bronchitis, asthma, sinusitis, all the itises you can.
Right. Right.
I was saved by doctors, and I wanted to become a doctor. So then is where my healer part start developing, and I came into the healings arts. And once I became a regular Western scientific MD, I could only see so many disappointments in the system that I was forced to search further. I started with acupuncture, homeopathy, nutrition, of course, and on and on and on. And then also I had a spiritual experience, a near-death experience, where in a car accident I broke my neck. And that put me on a spiritual path, and to understand what angels are. And I want to figure out, why did they save me? Why me, right? Because my neck was broken. I should have been paralyzed from, my neck down.
Right.
And I wasn't. I was miraculously cured. And that's where my spiritual path began, with even more time into meditation. And that's where I developed the visionary part of myself, where I could see my past better. I could see the red line leading me along. And I could start seeing glimpses of the future, of my mission here on Earth. And then the last part for me was when I became a teacher and I started spreading my knowledge, my experience to other doctors and start training people to become health coaches themselves. And I started writing books. All of the teaching part started there, and that has spread without me wanting to or desiring to. That became like a virus spreading to many countries. I am now teaching in China, Russia, Europe, all places, now the United States, South America. And now I need to learn back again to be balanced, when to say no, because
Right.
success can drag you along way beyond whatever you know. And you believe you have a mission, so you follow. But your mission is first to yourself, to protect yourself, to take care of yourself, because then you have more energy to give. And that's in
Exactly.
short my journey until now where I am today. And I'm at the verge of new adventures again. So life never stops to amaze me.
Before we go to break,
Mhm.
how many books have you published now and written?
Um, Total, I'm working now on my 78th book.
78.
Yeah, that will come
78.
out next
We're gonna
year.
we're gonna catch that on the other side and talk about those more when we come back.
Sure.
Folks, this is Patti Conklin with Quantum Physics to Metaphysics with Life in Between.
There's more on the web about Patti Conklin's healing work and the work of practitioners she's trained at patticonklin.com. That's PattiConklin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vicki Nienhuis. I'm one of Patti Conklin's certified associates. My journey began with an experience that I needed healing. I had a debilitating injury and wasn't able to walk. So I met Patti Conklin and I was introduced to her gifts and really was able to see the power of vibrational medicine and using the frequencies of color and tone to remove blockages in your body. Because of that, it was fascinating me to be able to watch the blockages and densities removed from my body. And now as I work with other clients, I'm able to talk about my own success. And I'm able to share with them the power of vibrational medicine. The process has changed my life. I no longer use a cane and motorized scooter. I can walk on my own 2 feet. And it's just been fascinating to watch the process change my clients' lives.
More information at PattiConklin, PattiConklin.com.
Hi everyone, this is Patti Conklin, Quantum Physics to Metaphysics with Life in Between, and my guest today is Roy Martina. I knew you did. I'm a jiu-jitsu person, so you were doing judo, right?
I started with judo, went on to everything else.
So yeah, and became an 8th degree in martial arts, so black belt. So that's pretty awesome, in addition to 78 books. So what are you working on now? This is a two-pronged question. What are you working on now? And out of those 78 books, what was your greatest love of? Is there any one book?
Yeah, let's begin with what I'm working on right now. You mean which book I'm working on right now?
Yes.
It is called, believe it or not, it's probably the most spiritual book ever. It's called The Secrets of the Lazy Billionaire. So
Oh, wow.
it is a funny story to it. I was on a panel about the law of attraction, and there was a scientist there and a billionaire as well, and I was the third one. Because I use a lot of those principles also in my work, for example, to heal cancer and those kind of things as well. So in that country, Netherlands, I'm considered an expert on the law of attraction. And so the billionaire, we were on many levels the same. The only thing he said that triggered me were two things. One was that he was very lazy. And no, he was not working very hard, which in my mind was not something I associate with being a billionaire.
Right.
The second thing was that he said that every day he meditates 1.5 hours before he begins the day. So I was intrigued by what the hell are you doing in that 1.5 hours? I meditate, but 1.5 hours, that's a lot.
Long time.
Yeah. So I sent him an email, and he was so kind to, continue the conversation one on one. And there he told me that he aligns himself with his future self. So he goes to the future where he wants to be what he calls a conscious billionaire. He is not in about money. He doesn't care about the money so much. He's caring about influencing and about making a difference. For example, in Africa and South America, and he is actually aligning himself every day with that person in the future that he sees like the greatest, grandest version of himself.
Wow.
And he takes 1.5 hours for that. And I told him, we can do that faster. I have special techniques. We can do it in 15 minutes. So we became very, very close friends. And I spoke with him about something was working on as a hobby is to create free energy with the Tesla concept of a generator. He got totally intrigued by that, and he's willing to invest over $2 billion in that project. So
Wow.
that's the next, let's say, new life that will begin, and really want to make a difference to quickly change our addiction to petroleum and oil to free energy. That's the whole concept. And going back to the other question about my most, I think my best book ever I wrote is called Emotional Balance. It's the one that has been translated in over 12 languages. I think by now it is over 2.5 million sold of that worldwide. And that book has been for 60% channeled. I just sit down and it just came out. And it has been a blessing because it brought me to many countries, to Russia, to China. And it's normally one person gets the book, reads it, gets excited, and then they ask the question, how can we get this crazy guy over here? And it keeps on being sold over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's basically, it contains everything. It's based on the principles of acupuncture, the principles of martial arts, the principles of spirituality. It's a mix of everything that we do in order to stay in balance.
Wow. Wow. I remember when that book came out.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, on this houseboat, I still think I don't have a case of your books, but I think I still have 5 or 6 copies of Emotional Balance sitting on here. Maybe I need to sit down. Maybe that's my cue to sit down and actually read it instead of just hold it and think about my buddy. You know, you've touched so many people's lives. And I want to kind of recount a little story for the listening audience about how people really are just drawn to you. You and I were having dinner at a little cafe in, it wasn't in Amsterdam, it was in The Hague.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so we were having dinner, and we were out in this outside cafe, and all of a sudden we heard this bicycle little ring thing going on, and this guy just acting totally psychotic, riding his bicycle around through all the tables and just yelling and making a nuisance of himself, and people were getting upset. So there were hundreds of people out there. And all of a sudden he spotted you and he said, Doctor, and he rode his bike. Remember this? Rode his bicycle over. And you said, now what are you doing? And he had recognized you from a TV show or something that you had been doing in the Netherlands, which at that time was your home. And the two of you dialogued, and he said, I'm not crazy. You know, there's something in my house. And he showed you his passport even. And you said, now look, and I'll never forget you said, now look, you need to go home. You need to go home and you'll be safe. And tomorrow morning I will call you and we will make sure that there's nothing in your house. But right now you just need to get on your bicycle and stop bothering people and go home. And I will call you tomorrow. And the guy was so relieved. But in that moment, it was almost like energies had passed, and just by being able to be in touch with you, he settled down. It's like his thought process straightened out. And I remember the waiter coming up and telling us they were getting ready to call the police when he approached our table, and saw that you were talking to him. And I was fascinated with the energy transference with that. When I look at you and the years that I've known you, that seems to be commonplace.
What's quite interesting is that in a lot of the healing methods that we know and we've learned over the years, there is a lot of people work with what they call intentional healing, hands-on healing, and all of that. And one of the things that I've learned is that healing should be happening all the time. It is basically, we should meet, just like they say in India, namaste. The part of me where we're equal, that's where we're meeting. And so I always made it also in my practice a kind of a habit to meet people there, and not on a mental level, but on an energy level.
Right.
And once you're there, and once they're open to that, you can quickly shift everything for them. And one of the things that I miss in a lot of the healings of holistic practitioners is that a lot of them are not aware of the dark energies around us. It's not like a horror movie all the time, but we have negative energies that can attach to people. We can have even earthbound souls, whatever. It's a part that's missed by many, many practitioners. And when you connect to a person on this level of energy, you can immediately feel what is threatening them on that level. And in my opinion, especially people who are tending to go psychotic, it's normally that their energy field is too open. Mm-hmm. And so I always explain to people, your security systems are down.
Right.
The thieves can come and go as they please. You need to build a stronger shield. And you can give them that shield, even if it's temporary for a moment, to protect them. And then once you start working on them, which can also happen on distance, as you know, you can shift that. So while he was talking, I was already working on shifting his energy, cleaning his house. So when he go there, he would feel safe. And when I call him in the morning, he would be totally okay.
Right.
And I think it's so easy. It's not complicated. I'm not specially gifted, but you can learn all these things and has your benefit with it, with your children, with people don't like. So say when I give a lecture, you have always these women who adore me for whatever reason or what I'm saying, and they drag their husbands along. And those guys sit there like they don't want to be there.
Oh, yeah. I've had a few of those in my audience
exactly.
before. Uh-huh.
So I always, in my mind, I always work on them. So I always send them energy and, start cleaning them, stuff like that. I call it putting them in the dishwasher, cleaning them. And normally after 20 minutes in the lecture, you see them relax. They start to smile. And at the end, they might be the most fanatic persons in your favor.
Yep.
But you have to take that energy. You have to be there with open heart. You have to be with no defense whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And just keep giving. And even if it's just energy, it's a form of giving. And it costs you nothing. It's easy to do. Everybody can practice. Some people might call it sending love. Whatever you call it, it is there for each of us to use. But we don't. We are not taught in this way.
Right, right. Do you think doctors, and we've just got a few minutes left before this next break, but
sure.
Do you think Western medicine is starting to get the hang of it in terms of energies and utilizing energies?
I'm sorry to say that because I'm from Europe, it depends per country. Mm-hmm. So different countries, you have different ways. One thing in China, they got away from it. There's so much in Western
Really?
stuff. Yeah, they totally got away from what they have. And so I'm going to China, bringing back what they already had 6,000 years ago. So it's kind of a paradox, isn't it? And you have other countries where it's more mental. Like, let's say in Germany, they're a lot into homeopathy, into herbs and stuff. But it's really mental. There was a time that flower essences were even forbidden in Germany. So the Germans are more a mental kind of group.
Wow.
The Russian are the one group that's the darkest on this planet.
Yeah.
The Russians are culturally programmed to suffer. That's why Putin gets stronger when the Russians are down.
Right.
They love him even more because suffering is what makes them a nation.
Yes.
So it's very hard to move energy there. It's very lot of stuck energy there. But going back to medicine, we are not there yet, but we will get there. One of my intentions, because I'm not only going for free energy, I'm also going for a new university where we'll be teaching doctors holistic medicine. We're going for new education for kids. We're going to have the best schools in Africa, from all places. So to change it from starting at the beginning and then move up to the adult layers as well.
Beautiful. I really want to touch on that a little bit more. Where can people get in touch with you if they want to see and hear and read more of your stuff?
Very easy. We have a website called joyandroy.com.
Joyandroy.com. Is it the and side or is it spelled out and?
It's completely spelled out. So joy, like joy.
Joy.
That's the name of my wife.
That's right.
And A&D, Roy.com. So it's my wife and I.com.
That's pretty easy. We're going to talk about that when we come back. This is Patti Conklin, Quantum Physics to Metaphysics.
Here's Patti Conklin associate, Rochette Withers.
I always had the gift, but for years I didn't understand it. Years later, I get stronger in the gift of intuition. And I meet this lady, Patti Conklin, who was so gifted beyond anyone I had met yet. And I had this huge urge to meet her, go to class, learn what she has to offer. She trained me in a new way that I hadn't yet experienced, and I offer it to my clients now. I'm like you. I make spirituality approachable. I put people at ease, and we come together to understand who they truly are. And it is just beautiful to watch unfold. And I can feel their lightness of spirit, literally. I walk out thinking, okay, my job here is done. And it's beautiful.
More information at PattiConklin, PattiConklin.com.
Hi everyone, this is Patti Conklin, Quantum Physics to Metaphysics with my wonderful guest, Roy Martina. Roy's been sharing with us his journey along the way to make him one of the most popular individuals in holistic health and holistic practices because he brings that unique blend. I believe it's a unique blend of Western medicine and holistic practices to what he does. And we've been discussing his book, Emotional Balance. You can find him at the website joyandroy.com. And Joy is his beautiful wife, beautiful daughter, Grace. And I remember your son, is it Tony?
Joey.
Joey. I knew it was a Y, Joey.
Yeah.
So, and you've got another son also, right?
Yeah, his name is Sunray.
All right. Okay. So Joey's the only one I've actually met in person, exactly. And yes. Joy. Yeah. I know you and Joy have been working on some projects together also. Yes. And she's been working on some projects, and I'd love to get her on the show and get her take at some point. But let's go back a little bit to emotional balance and some of the work you've been doing in the countries. I know that I have a practitioner who's Ukrainian, and so a lot of people from the Ukraine and so forth have been working, and you really do have to look at it by culture and societal understandings and so forth on how we move forward into helping, because if you do have a country that is kind of stuck, I don't know if that's the proper word or not, but just kind of in that space of martyrdom, especially women towards their children. How do we lighten that for them? Because I know I have worked with so many women from the Eastern European countries and so forth that their children are everything. And it's hard to get them to take care of themselves. And like we talked about in the beginning, we got to take care of ourselves before we can take care of others. So how do we help? How do we help?
Well, that's where you could probably do a whole, let's call it, session with Joy.
Uh-huh.
As she, and that's what I like about us working together, where she can be the role model for women because she went through, let's say, hell and back and had to find her own way how to balance her life as a mother, as a partner, then as a single working mother with kids and stuff like that. And we go to China 3 times a year, and every time we go to China, she really needs to get into the mental state to go there because of the attitude of the male part of China.
Yeah.
And she only reason she keeps going is because she says, I do it for the women there. I need to really educate them. And it's from basics, even like about sexual pleasure, you know, that women there totally are, I call it almost like sacrificing themselves or suppressing themselves
Right.
in order to be worthy, in order to be that. So she sees that as a big mission, especially in a country like China. She's even afraid to go to Russia because she said that that's probably as bad as China.
As bad, yeah.
So the last time I went to Russia, she said, you go by yourself. I'm not in the energy right now that I can handle that. And what we've learned by being together, we as a couple, we are also role model because we can be on stage and let's say respectfully disagree. And what happens is that she will have a point of view and I will have another point of view. And both can coexist in the same space, same time. There's no problem with that.
That's
no
right.
one is right or wrong. And people see that we can be of totally different opinion about things. And what I think gets to women, especially from Joy, is that I'm a warrior. I'm present. I have a strong energy. So as a woman, stand next to me. You need to match your energy a little bit higher, not because I'm in an ego space, but just for the being that I am. You know, you don't want to be in my shadow. You
That's
want to be
right.
there fully. So you have to shine there. So for Joy, it was a great journey to be in my presence, to really establish her place, that she can be there. And the downside for her is because she's beautiful. And people think, oh, you know, she's just another blonde there. But that impression lasts only 5 minutes.
That's right. That's right.
And the whole process that she went through, I call it the first process was the bitch process, to own your bitch. Okay? So to totally okay that, you know, you can be bitchy, that whatever. That was the first process. Took a year.
Yeah.
The second process was to earn her witch side. So that to really, that no, she loves that occult part. She loves working with cards. She working with intuition, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But because she has a PhD on the other side, she was always hiding her witch side. So now she officially is certified a witch bitch, which is not negative. She says it. It's not me saying
It's
anything
not you
racist
saying it.
or
Yep.
whatever. But it's very funny that she owns that now.
Right.
That she does no longer care about opinion of others. She's no longer into being liked or being pleased. She's much more here. I have to say and do what I have to say and do. You can like it or not like it.
That's right.
You may be ready or not be ready, but here I am.
But
and
here it is.
take it or leave it. And I think that was a whole nice evolution to see. And I think for every woman, there's a similar kind of path for them to walk through, to own your dark side. That's what we call the bitch, you know, whatever, the nagging, criticize,
right.
whatever it is. And then own your specific woman side where you are you. You don't have to be like a man. You don't have, because you're a PhD, you have to behave like what you think a PhD should
That's
behave.
right. That's right.
Be totally you. That was beauty to see. And I've learned a lot from watching that and helping her, supporting her through that process and seeing that also happening with her clients that she coaches, because she only coaches women.
Right.
It's not that she doesn't like men, but she said women need me more than men, so I'm going to be here for women.
That's a beautiful example of it. Yeah. And it's really true, because if you are going to be that mentor for women, as a woman, you've got to be able to own all those sides. I remember you and I doing a workshop together, and I think you had said, you're neurotic, And I said, yeah, I'm neurotic, but I'm a genius. And you're like, so you're a dangerous neurotic. And I said, yes, I am. I'll own both of those.
Yes.
Then I think you ran on stage. I think you got away from me real quick. When we look at emotional balance, and let's go back to that again, because it is important. I think today's world is really spinning very quickly, and people are really out of balance to a great degree. How do you embrace emotional balance? What are those first few steps, if there are first few steps that people can actually take?
Sure. Number one, when we talk about emotional balance, we're talking actually about emotional healing in a way. And it starts first. We have this sentence that we use in combination with some acupressure points. We say, I love and accept myself with my emotion. So there is in the subconscious mind this kind of thing where we think when we are emotional, we're weak or we're bad or we're wrong and we're not worthy. That is the first thing we need to tackle. Emotions are there to remind us of two things. Number one, we're human beings as well as spiritual beings.
Sure.
And as human beings, we need to deal with all the challenges of this timeline, which is the three-dimensional balance between pleasure and pain, gaining and losing. We're constantly in this. We people we love go, new people come in. We're constantly in this change mode. And we're not all well prepared and well equipped with a toolbox to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
So we may stay stuck too long in an emotion when we lose a loved one. We may be stuck into anger. We may be stuck in not being able to forgive. I see a lot of lawsuits where the people who have been done injustice only believe that they can move on if the other one is being punished. If it's not punished or not punished enough, they continue suffering.
Yes.
So this is a continuous battle that we have in being human, and that's what we say, I love and accept myself with this emotion. So once you create a kind of a peace with that, you can you can choose to let it go. And if you suppress it or you kind of program over it, I'm positive thinker, whatever kind of stuff you learn in workshops, you're actually creating a golden layer on a pile of shit. And that can go well for a long time. That can go well for a long time. But the body itself will not be able to tolerate that. Your energy system will start suffering, your organs then start affected, and all of a sudden you have a disease, and nobody puts the link between the emotion and the disease. And that's basically what emotional balance is all about.
Wow. So much of what we teach is very similar in that aspect of, because again, if all you're doing is saying yourself everything's okay and everything's wonderful and beautiful, you really are putting that golden layer on that pile of shit. You're really not going deep and going into what needs to be faced. And I think it's important, I think you'd agree that it's not a right or wrong situation. It just is what it is. And once you're able to let go of it, surrender into it maybe. Yeah.
And I hope then also to learn something from it.
Yeah.
To really understand our own mechanism better and what kind of situation trigger us, what are our weaknesses and strengths. So actually emotions are your best teachers, because some people just own you. They can trigger you anytime they please. Those are your master teachers. Those are the ones
Those are the ones. And don't a lot of teachers believe that those are your closest family members, the ones that can trigger you the fastest and the heaviest?
Yep. Yeah. You can marry them. You can actually be their kids. It could be your kids. Yeah. They are a lot of them come in your life as teachers, and to really teach you to balance in all circumstances, and to really reconnect with your inner power, your inner strength, to remember you're more than a human being. So emotions remind us we're humans, and our job is to get out of the human plane and remember who we really are, and then we can forgive and let go and love again.
Right, right. Folks, you're listening to my good friend Roy Martina. You can find him and his beautiful wife at joyandroy.com. I love the website name. And he's been doing a lot of traveling into China and Russia and and you're based in the United States now, which is kind of a shift for you. That's been in the last, 4 or 5 years? 4 years?
Yeah, we've been living here 3 years now.
3 years now. Wow.
3 years. Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
I never thought we'd see you get to the States, but we are happy that you are. So, folks, this is Quantum Physics to Metaphysics with Life in Between. You can reach me at patticonklin.com. But stay around. We're going to continue this dialogue with Roy Martina, MD, holistic way of life kind of guy. We'll see you soon, folks.
Coach, is your team plagued with injuries? Are they just not achieving your performance goals? Parents, is your daughter or son pushing and struggling in their sport to achieve their goals? Athletic competition is healthy, but only when we can detach our ego and our expectations. Every word, thought, or emotion is stored in our body. Fear-based coaching and training can only lead to injury and even disease. Hi, my name is Bonnie Rawls, co-founder of Soul Fitness Healing and a certified associate of the Conklin Method. For over 30 years, I've practiced sports medicine, injury prevention, training, fitness, and rehabilitation. I've witnessed physical injuries associated with negative emotions. My mind-body performance program teaches healthy, emotional-based coaching and training techniques where athletes are supported and encouraged to improve individual performance and personal goals.
More information at PattiConklin, PattiConklin.com.
Hi, everyone. You're back with Patti Conklin, Quantum Physics to Metaphysics with Life in Between. My wonderful guest today is Roy Martina, and we've been discussing his life's journey, his 78 books that he has written, or 77. He's working on 78 now. But we were talking during the break about something new that you and Joy have put together called the 5-Day Heart Healing Revolution. So talk to me about that.
Yes, so, a lot of people are into some sort of spirituality or religious beliefs and stuff like that. What we discovered, it has to start on a really basic foundation where we forgive and let go. One of the first persons we want to forgive is ourselves. Often we have all these hang-ups about ourselves, how we should have been, and so on. Actually, we often judge ourselves more than we judge anyone else.
This is true.
So each day, in 5 days, and this is for free, each day we take one step. So we start with forgiving ourselves. Number 2, being okay with all the challenges we had in life. Then we start forgiving. And after forgiveness, there are 2 important steps we make. One is called breaking down the heart walls. Every time we're traumatized, in a subconscious mind, we build some sort of heart wall so that we're not fully loving or trusting anymore. So each time we're traumatized, we lose a little bit of ourselves, our capacity to love. So we break down the heart walls, and then we have a process of what we call cutting the karmic links. So even though we've forgiven, we often have some attachment to that person or incident. So we literally need to have a kind of a ceremony, ritual where we cut the links, we take our power back, we give the person the power back, we take our freedom back, give them the freedom back. And that part comes from the native traditions of maybe known as soul fragments and stuff like that. So we clean that up. And we had so much, thousands of people follow that. We have so much beautiful testimonials on this for what happened to people after 5 days. I mean, sometimes for some total life change. So we keep putting this out there, and we call it the Heart Healing Revolution. And we even have a special website called hearthealingrevolution.org. And people can sign up there, go through the process. And we are really thriving with the positive energy that this is putting out there. It's so simple, so basic, but yet so powerful. And that's what I love most of it.
Yeah. And so is there a tests that people take on that site? I mean, how do they find out where their heart is right now? Or
Okay,
is that
so
important?
basically, the simple test that you have to do is to look at your life and decide what has hurt you in the past. What are your real challenges? Could be an ugly divorce. It could be losing someone. It could be just being rejected or whatever. So it's just becoming aware of how much you're carrying with you. And what we discovered is that many people mentally know how to forgive. They really believe, I've forgiven, but still there is something there in the subconscious mind. And this process takes you through that. And it's not a process you do once. It's a process you can do over and over again, where you focus on a specific person or situation. Because, whatever trauma you have, that person is also a teacher. And when you go through this process, you'll find the positive intent in yourself to understand the lesson. And then after this comes, of course, the wisdom. And then hopefully you will move on to other mistakes, but this one you don't need to repeat anymore.
Hopefully you will move on to other mistakes.
Yeah.
That is a Roy statement if I ever heard one. Because it's so true, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's not like we're done with them.
Never. I mean, until it's your last breath, then you're done.
Then you're done. You're done. What have you found throughout the years? Because I know you've done so many different modalities and so many, have been involved in so many different modalities and attempting to make the world a better place. I remember talking, some of Tesla's work years and years and years ago with you. So in this beautiful journey that you've had, are there various things that really stand out for you?
Oh, yes. I absolutely, my first near-death experience stands out. And I didn't get it completely, so I needed another near-death experience. So I had two of them. So then I finally got it. And the first one was where I was just in a car accident, thrown out of my body. And I was just in a different space.
Yeah.
Where I think everybody there was on some sort of, drugs or weed or cannabis. Everybody was happy. It was really the nicest environment to ever be. Everything was literally rosy. And I didn't want to go. I was totally at home. I was like, here's where I want to be. And I was sent back with force. They had sent two bodyguards, really stuffed angels, to kick me back into my body.
And force you to go back.
Yes,
Yeah.
your mission is not done yet. So that was the first. The other really intriguing, I think, something that happened to me was when I met this woman from Australia called Yasmin, was living on light. And I thought she was a big fraud until I was standing next to her on stage translating her. And for 2 weeks, I couldn't eat. I was just forcing myself to eat. And we became really close friends. And I decided to do the process myself, a 21-day process where you stop eating and stop drinking, which medically is not the wisest thing to do.
Right.
Because your kidney kind of self-destructs after 4 or 5 days.
Uh-huh.
So I reached the point where I had to make a choice, making 3 steps to a faucet and get some water, or surrender and possibly die. I decided to take my chances and surrender.
Wow.
And immediately everything shifted. And that's where I learned first time to surrender to a higher force, to no longer be driven by my ego, but to really become a channel for something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And that has been actually my lifeline from there. We do nothing if it's not, let's say, really approved by the higher force, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So we see ourselves as servants of the light, whatever you want to call it, channelers of the light. And our job is to show up where they want us to show up. That's what we follow. And our last thing that really made a big impact was when we went to a workshop with a hypnotist called Dolores Cannon. She passed away not too long ago. And when I saw what she was doing, I knew immediately there was something else going on. Yeah. And the theory I developed around that is that our left brain is the ego brain and keeps us trapped in the 3-dimensional experience. The right brain, which you call the creative brain, is actually wireless connected to the universe. So if we know how to connect our right brain to the information we want, we can tap into any information in the universe. And we've developed that skill. We've taught this. So Joy has become, we call it an oracle. She can channel with anyone. I use her as an iPhone. I want to speak with Jesus. I just dial Jesus' number and we have a conversation. And some people think I'm crazy. It's fine. But we literally have thousands of hours talking to the historic figures. We've talked to Julius Caesar, Winston Churchill, and on and on and on. But also with aliens, also with angels, with other entities. And we've discovered so much information that's also being held back from us, that is what's been guiding us, that free energy needs to come now to this planet, that as long as we don't have it, we will self-destruct. But here's the clue, that free energy has the Om frequency. So when we put our house in the free energy, we create a healing space, while the electricity now has a negative energy, is pulling out energy, and this is giving energy. Where it is this Om energy will be peace. Where it's not, our shadow sides can thrive.
Right.
So it's not only about energy, it literally is about a higher energy manifesting on this planet. And we made this our first priority next year to bring this to a large group of people.
Wow, that's exciting.
Absolutely,
That's
it is.
incredibly exciting. Yeah, I felt so blessed to be able to see Dolores.
She was incredible.
I've known her for 20 years, but I saw her a couple of days before she crossed. Just in passing, and she looked at me and she said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "What are you doing here?" And I knew that would be the last time I'd see her physical form. But just an amazing woman.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
She changed our lives. Actually, we honored her. We prayed for her. She was really an incredible servant of the light.
Yes.
And based on her concepts, we create our own concepts with a little bit more scientific, explanation. But the way she used hypnosis was in a way to get us in touch with the higher mind, the higher consciousness, up to whatever you want to call it, God, the divine energy, and so on.
Yeah.
And we had so many experiences with that. So we were really grateful to have her in common as a really inspiring person in our lives. She was great.
She really, an amazing woman.
Absolutely. Amazing
woman. So we've just got a 30-second spot left. What would you like our listeners to hear from you today? What's your word of wisdom for today?
One of the most important things I would like to share is that the future has multiple possibilities, infinite possibilities. Every choice we make, we can go into another future. So what we teach people is to go into the future completely unprepared, start connecting to the best future possible. We call it the greatest, grandest version of you. It's not about material things. It's about living a great life of contribution and receiving. And if you start meditating with your greatest, grandest self becomes your guide, becomes your coach. And you start opening the portal to that future until that becomes the only undeniable portal for you. And we've done this now since we met Dolores Canz for 4 or 5 years. It has changed our life incredibly in a ways that we could never imagine. And I believe with certainty that it's simple as long as we know to set the intention to go to the greatest, grandest you in the future and bring that back and become one with that.
Beautiful.
That's the best thing I can do.
Beautiful. Folks, you've been listening to my wonderful guest, Roy Martina, and you can find him at joyandroy.com. This is Patti Conklin, Quantum Physics to Metaphysics with Life in Between. Thank you so much for joining me.
There's much more about Patti Conklin, her certified associates, her new book, and courses that are available right now on the web at patticonklin.com. That's P-A-T-T-I, Patti Conklin, CONKLIN.com.